Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Paul, and this is The Truth About.
Confusion filled sea of doubt. It's time to hear the truth about. Confusion filled sea of doubt. It's time to hear the truth about
Serial killers. Okay, Laura, so this is a subject which is very close to my own heart.
Okay. Not that close, I hope.
Very close.
Well, we'll give a pre-warning that we are going to talk about some
Death.
some death, but we and I think a lot of the world has a morbid fascination with serial killers, murder documentaries, murder in general, and death in general.
It's a really strange thing, isn't it? But it is very appealing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's because it's something that we as normal people would probably
Define normal.
people that don't murder
Yeah, but
would probably feel like, wow, how can somebody do that to another human being?
But that's the thing, it's so extraordinary, isn't it? But also probably an element of fear as well, you know? Like, I think we're fearful that someone's going to do that, or we're going to come into contact with one of these scary people,
Yeah.
and they live amongst us.
Yeah, and that's I think the best thing about, you know, Netflix and the releasing all of these amazing docu-series,
Yeah.
and also a lot of biopics that have come out about famous serial killers.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it does show the human side
Yeah.
as well, and where they perhaps got this urge. And, you know, we watched the My Friend Dahmer the
Yeah.
other day, and I felt sorry for him for most of the film.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same for a lot of serial killers.
Yeah, there's some kind of empathy for them that
maybe-
probably that they're
yeah.
not sharing for many others. But
No.
but yeah, no, but that is the thing, isn't it? It is fast. I'll tell you what, let's get started on it then. So obviously,
Okay.
strictly speaking, a serial killer is someone who murders at least two people in separate events that occur at different times. So while serial murder is not formalized by any legal code, the crimes of serial killers have often been seized on by the media and public consciousness, especially in cases where there are many victims of the murders carried out in a gruesome fashion. So, you know, that's what is defined as a serial killer kind of thing.
Yeah, more than one.
Yeah.
It's not a one-off
No.
case. And
Or not just two people in one go.
yeah.
It would be like someone's actively gone, right, okay, I'm going to kill someone.
Yeah,
I'm
and
now
mo-
going to kill another
in
person.
more than one sitting.
Exactly.
So yeah, very pleasant.
Now, here's one that I think pretty early on we found that we actually had in common.
Yeah, because I had studied this
Get you.
particular chap in
How do you know it was a guy?
it was a guy.
It's always
in
a guy.
GCSE history.
That's I don't know the facts, but that's another one as well. It usually is a guy, isn't it? Even though there are obviously some females that.
Yeah, and I
killed.
think I will talk about the women who kill. Not in too much detail because I don't know the ins and outs and the facts. But going on to this guy.
Yeah, this guy.
So we call him Jack the Ripper. He isn't formally known as anything else. No one really knows who it could be, although there's been a lot of speculation in the past that it could be
A surgeon, the Queen's
a surgeon. Yeah, Queen's surgeon, a doctor,
Yeah.
a backstreet abortionist.
Yeah.
It could be a butcher, dentist,
Yeah.
someone with some sort of medical knowledge based on the types of killings. But anyway, so, Jack the Ripper, he has done some of the most notorious murder sprees that ever was in London, Whitechapel. In 1888, he murdered 5 women, all of which were prostitutes.
Yeah.
The majority of
He
which...
has a type.
He does. Most of which were done outside and quite well executed, being the word.
Surgical precision.
Yeah, and he did send off various organ parts to the police and created this media frenzy that no one had ever seen before.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he was good at marketing, wasn't he?
Yeah, and there was the Dear Boss letter, which people believe was the very first letter. And then there was a second letter, which is believed to be a forgery.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's like another part of this, isn't there? There's been like copycats of serial killers.
Yeah.
So okay, we're kind of going even further to basically discover that obviously there are fans. Obviously, we're going to really go into that with the last case.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that or whatever. But that's kind of strange, isn't it? That people would actually go, you know what? What a cool guy.
Yeah, the thing with Jack the Ripper is that he was targeting prostitutes and prostitutes only. So it scared a lot of women of the night,
Yes.
a lot of sex workers,
Roxanne.
because that at the time was the only job a lot of women could get in order to afford their rent. There was one murder, two in one night, because he was rushed and couldn't do it. So he was a bit of a perfectionist in the way he wanted to complete this murder. But his last one, was it Mary Kelly? Mary Kelly, is that her name?
I'm
Mary
going to
Kelly.
pretend.
Okay. She actually was the only one that was murdered inside her home.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. There's actually photographs, not very detailed photographs because of the year, but I find it fascinating to see.
I'm not sure if you watched that program that I watched, if we watched it at the same time or if I watched it on my own or whatever, but there was then this other program where we figured out who Jack the Ripper is, and then basically at that time he was in the Navy or something like that. He'd then gone to New York, and then basically the same types of murders then came up.
This is why that they can't tell exactly who it was.
No.
There's been, I could just talk about Jack the Ripper all day. Bear in mind, I'm just going from facts that I remember from school. I just want to confirm that the Dear Boss letter, I think, was actually the second letter. From Hell was the first one, I believe.
Yeah, that was it. That rings a bell.
And that was the first time the name Jack the Ripper came about.
Yeah.
But there were people that claimed to be Jack the Ripper before they were hung. People that were put in prison, and then the murders stopped, and then they said in prison.
See, that's another rubbish thing, isn't it? Where some people will kind of take claim of something to kind of make themselves more than what they
feel
are.
More important. And there are a lot of people that were mentally ill and unstable.
Yeah.
And just wanted that feeling of self-worth. Claiming murders isn't the way to go about it. But yeah, that is a massive thing that happened at that time.
Yeah.
There's also things that have come about. They've released fabric that from one of the victims.
Yeah,
I think this was a few years ago, and they
it?
tried to do DNA tests, and they said they released the name, but it turned out to be inconclusive. They couldn't do it. A lot of the evidence back then was washed away. There was writing on a wall where it said about the Jews not being held responsible or something like that. That was just wiped away because DNA wasn't a thing back then.
No.
And this is what really changed the way the police force worked.
Yeah.
And how science worked, and fingerprints and things like that, and just picking up on evidence. Because a lot of the time people would just be arrested if they were caught in the act.
But this is the thing. So that's why Jack the Ripper is so fascinating to this day.
Yeah, because no one knows.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
exactly.
mystery, and people love a mysterious guy.
And going back to our conspiracies and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
it's, it was the Queen's surgeon and all this kind of stuff. It's just even more.
Oh, there's all sorts. Like the locations of where it was creates a symbol.
Obviously, Sherlock Holmes trying to find out who Jack the Ripper was.
Yeah.
and like all of these other essentially fan fiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's incredible. And I think, that's, to be fair, we probably could just do a whole nother episode on that because it is so interesting and obviously something that we both enjoy. We did the tour, didn't we, in London and all that kind of stuff. So
that was pretty fascinating and eerie, standing where
that's
these
why I love London
murders took
so
place.
much as well. That you
The
can just,
history,
you stand in the same place where that took place, as freaky as that is. But okay, our next man.
Yeah,
Our
Jeff.
next man.
Our mate Jeff Dahmer.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend that.
My Friend Dahmer.
My Friend Dahmer, because it's yeah, I'm not going to spoil it,
well,
but it's interesting.
Yeah, it talks about his backstory as opposed to the murders itself. So it kind of gives you a bit of a story of how he came to be.
Yeah.
And it is quite sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he killed his first victim when he was 18 years old.
Yeah.
He wasn't arrested for murder until the 1990s. And, you know, it was because someone had escaped and was able to say, hey, this guy's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And, you know, they actually found...
photos of mutilated bodies and body parts strewn across the apartment. He even had a vat of acid he used to dispose the victims in. All in all, you know, he killed 17 people, mostly young men of colour.
Yeah.
He served time in prison twice. The first time for molestation and the second time for murder. And he was killed by a fellow inmate in 1994. I mean, that's not that long ago.
No.
I mean, yeah.
Well, it was only like 3 years before you were born.
Yeah.
So that, you know, you hear these murders and you think,
Before
that's
you
a
were
life.
born.
Well, it was a long time before I was born.
yeah.
Sorry, you're not old. But yeah, it is one of those things because it was one of those childhood things where he loved picking up roadkill, dead animals, disposing of them and looking at skeletal remains and things like that.
I mean, if there is, Mindhunter's a great one as well, isn't it? Because obviously Mindhunter is based on a true story or whatever from, it was like the first time that they actually
went into the psychoanalysis of a murderer and where it comes from.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but no one even knew about serial killing.
No, that was the first time the term serial killer.
Yeah,
was,
they were like, actually,
I think.
Yeah. I think too. Correct us if we're wrong. But that's pretty fascinating, isn't it? You know what I mean? To actually go, well, actually, this new concept.
And was that due to like that sort of concept came across because of the Manson murders? Was that when they started looking more into the psychological side of it?
From the show, that's how it is deemed, isn't it? With certain serial killers and stuff. But yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Their motive as opposed to they're just animals.
See, that's why I really am interested in it, just the psychology of it, you know, and how what could turn someone to murder, what could, you know, all this kind of stuff. That for me is like something really crazy. See, so the next one is growing up was like a really horrific thing because with some of this, you can get a bit of time involved in it to go, well, actually, this was a long time ago or whatever. But I think in my lifetime in the UK or whatever, I really remember this one of Harold Shipman. So he was known as Dr. Death.
I hadn't actually heard of this one.
What?
I know.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, it was kind of all over the news, like with me growing up or whatever. Like, he's known as Dr. Death or whatever. So he killed, they think, at least 218 patients.
That is crazy.
So that is like, you know, okay, not you know, it's like trump cards, isn't it? Who's had the most kills or whatever? But it's like to think 218 people that he killed is next level, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is like really crazy. And obviously kind of reading this, from the story, I remember that he was like putting himself into people's wills and all that kind of stuff.
People were like, why is he in like 250 people's wills? This guy must be a really good friend to his patients.
Yeah, exactly. But what horrible.
Yeah, so the red flag was only raised after several people, as well as the Undertaker, got a bit surprised about the amount of cremation certificates he was putting through.
Exactly.
Like, how many does it take? It took over 200 for them to go, that's a lot.
But this, like, the hardest thing with this subject is I think we sometimes do actually cut ourselves away from the reality of this, which is like, these are really horrible monsters of people and stuff like that. So don't take this the wrong way, but like, that's the total and utter crazy thing, isn't it? Like how a doctor, a person who's meant to be looking after people, how to, you know, hopefully making you better and all this kind of stuff, how a doctor could actually be doing that.
And this was all in London as well. So, you know, in two different offices.
Yeah.
So do you know how he killed them?
It was like medicines and stuff like that, and just like
okay.
over prescribing and things like that, and
Madness.
yeah, it was.
So it didn't seem too suspicious. It wasn't like, oh, this person died in my office.
Well, the worst part is he's a doctor, so
Well, yeah, gets away with a lot.
there's a lot of that as well, isn't there? Like,
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
yeah, but also like obviously police and but people that know what they're doing, people that have studied criminology and studied all this kind of stuff are going to be the best at it.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
well,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so that's the scary thing. But yeah, this one for me was like, man, waking up in the middle of the night. I've had nightmares over this one. It's pretty nuts. Like obviously I live close to London and all that kind of stuff. But man, what a 218.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he only died in 2004.
Exactly.
So 16 years ago, he
He was
committed
only
suicide.
convicted in 2000.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then he took his own life or whatever in 2004. But yeah, so it's that is a crazy one, don't you think?
Yeah.
Next one is the reason why you don't like clowns.
A big reason why I don't like clowns. Mr. John Wayne Gacy. Yeah.
See, I didn't know anything about this until I met you, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even think people not being into clowns was a thing.
Yeah. Well, I just don't trust clowns because anything you watch, anything that's scary, has something. Exactly.
We need to watch that Halloween, don't we? That
I don't even know why I said, you know what, I might try. I might try and watch it.
No, I mean, obviously I've seen the original, but I'm seeing the
I
new
haven't.
one, so
No.
we're going to do that, aren't we?
Yeah, okay. All right.
You said it.
Well, I wish I hadn't. Anyway, John Wayne Gacy, he was a construction worker by day, and he did a lot in politics, and he did clown work, as we mentioned, for birthday parties.
He was a bit of a clown.
Well, no. He came under suspicion in 1978 when a 15-year-old boy last seen with him went missing. And that wasn't the only time people started getting a bit worried that, missing boys,
Pointing fingers at
him. Yeah. So they started taking this case a bit more seriously, and they did a search warrant at his home, and they found nearly 30 bodies.
The smell of nearly 30 bodies buried in a 4-foot crawl space under his home.
Yeah, he was convicted of 33 counts of murder with additional counts of rape and torture, and was executed by lethal injection in 1994.
It's crazy.
Yeah, apparently I can't remember if I'm making this up again, but I think he would dress up as a clown as he was doing it.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And there's loads of videos of him dressed as a clown, and you just look and you're just like, want to throw up. Because he's surrounded by these kids, and yeah, he would do it slowly. It was all boys, I believe. And
See, that was another thing. I remember like a copycat of this.
Was there?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they did actually kill people or something like that, but they were doing crimes, like dressed as clowns. And,
oh God, do you remember that time where everyone was just going out wearing clown masks and just like hiding in the bushes?
Yeah.
Like what the was that about?
Was a crazy time.
Yeah, people just step out on the road just as a clown. Yeah. Like, I'm clearly not the only one who has this.
Oh, no.
Because clowns are meant to be nice, funny, friendly, kind of like a doctor.
Well,
and then,
you know.
Yeah,
but that, I think that was the thing. As soon as you said that, and I was like, well, that's strange. And then actually...
You started thinking of all the horror stuff with clowns all over it.
Started making fun of you in front of other people, and then other people were like, actually, I'm freaked out by clowns too. And then I was like, oh, actually...
We went to that Halloween thing where it was just like a clown maze, and I was just like, I'm not going in.
The horror.
I'm not going in.
Yeah.
I was like, going on your own, because I ain't going in.
Oh yeah, I also remember that Halloween Horror Nights. In Universal.
Oh my God, yeah, and we did. They had the Halloween house, the Mike Myers house.
Yeah.
And
not Austin Powers.
No, and I'd never seen the film.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that there's a whole clown bit. And the first thing that jumps out at me with a knife, which it wasn't real, but was a clown. And I was shaking for about an hour afterwards.
That was quite crazy. I actually felt very bad after that.
You should have felt bad. It was horrible. I waited like 2.5 hours to go in this house, which did nothing but make me...
Tormented.
Yeah. The only clown I've ever been okay with was Krusty the Clown.
Yeah.
And we went to Krusty Burger after that.
Yeah.
And I got cheese sauce stuff all over me because I was shaking
Yeah,
so
I do remember
much.
that. That
I was like,
funny.
I've just been terrified by a clown and I'm here eating a Krusty Burger. It was a good time.
Did Krusty redeem clowns for you?
No, because Krusty is
A fun clown.
because he is just him. Like
Yeah.
he was born.
He's his own clown.
Like his actual skin color is like the paint. Like
Yeah.
he wears like when he's in disguise, he wears yellow makeup to try and cover up.
Yeah.
What makes him look like a clown? So
Yeah.
I think it's more lighthearted. Although
Yeah.
some of it can be a bit scary.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with that. I'll tell you what. Let's have a little break, Laura. Be sure to check out Truth About blog at truthabout.co.uk. Okay, so who is next on our list of serial killers? Now, this
We
one.
make it sound so like lighthearted.
Hey!
Yeah, like and a lot of the murder podcasts and things like that. It's like dark
Eerie.
music and like blah, 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 blah. And here we are, like and on we are to
yeah.
well
So, Laura, who's your favourite serial killer?
H.H. Holmes. Well, actually, I didn't know about H.H. Holmes.
Did you know about him? I didn't know about him.
No, I think you told me about him. Did you hear him?
No.
Is he not the? No, we know him from American Horror Story.
Ah, yes.
It's based. American Horror Story Hotel is based on his hotel, I believe.
See, that's a great
So
show.
they've taken a lot of. Oh yeah,
That-
and
that is
our
a great
mate Jeffrey
show.
Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy's in
Yeah.
it. They've got,
Yeah.
They remember they had the table
All
full of
your
all the
faves.
murders. All my
Yeah.
favourites. So
Yeah.
it was amazing. Lady Gaga, she's not a murderer, but she is in that.
we don't know.
You never know.
I'm joking. I mean,
Yeah.
in that she did kill people.
Yeah, but trust no one. So it was in Chicago. It's a big place for murder, unfortunately, or at least it was.
To all of our fans in Chicago,
Our fans, Chicago. Well, if you are listening from Chicago, I'm sure Chicago is lovely, and it's actually one of the places I would like to go.
and I love your blues.
Change the subject. So the
Compliment sandwich. You need to do a negative thing, a good thing, and then end on
Let
a
me
negative
talk
thing.
about the murders.
Okay, go for it.
The pharmacist who turned a hotel into a torture castle.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Ahead of the 1893 World's Fair, Holmes moved to Chicago and started outfitting a 3-story hotel with all manner of
Nefarious.
nefarious contraptions, including gas lines, secret passages, and trapdoors, hallways to dead ends, chutes to the basement, and soundproof
Sounds like it could be fun if it wasn't for death.
and torture devices throughout the hotel, which was just one giant maze.
Wow.
If you've seen American Horror Story, you see that actually happens. He
Yeah.
traps people in.
Yeah.
People that he's not a fan of, or people that have got a bit too close to.
I like that character though.
Yeah,
Like,
it's because he's charmingly evil.
Yeah, he's very and that was the funny thing. Like obviously Hollywood, whatever, the Halloween Horror Nights or whatever in Universal and things like that in Florida. I don't scare easy. You know what I mean? If someone jumps out at me, I don't really get that scared and things like that. But the things that really freak me out is people being really, really nice.
Yeah.
Like that's
Charismatic.
that's the next level of things, because for me that's a lot more believable, and it just is really
trust
really
them
scary.
more.
Yeah, totally. For that whole thing of like for someone to be a doctor,
Yeah, that's
not
the
have
thing.
your best interests at
I
heart.
think you're more likely to run away with someone like chasing you with a chainsaw. But
Yeah.
they're saying, "Hey, come in my house and drink some poison tea." You're
Well,
probably
that's
more
it.
likely to
Exactly.
You know.
So yeah, like the better the devil you know or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that is scary. But yeah, carry on.
So yes, Mr. Holmes, not Sherlock.
No.
His mate, HH.
Yeah.
He used to use the gas to knock people out before putting them on surgical tables. He'd burn the bodies in the building's furnace. And
It's like Scarecrow in Batman.
oh god,
We watched that last night, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Batman Begins or whatever. But that's freaky.
Yes, it is freaky.
It's psychological again.
but
isn't
he's not real, and he doesn't. Does he murder anybody? I think he just plays with their heads. Anyway, so Holmes would sell the skeletons to medical schools and running life insurance scams. He committed more than 30 murders,
Wow.
found only after a fellow scammer turned him in for falling short of a financial agreement.
Imagine that.
And then he was hanged. So,
A
yeah.
happy ending.
So you be careful of hotels.
Well, now is not the time to bash hotels.
What do you think they did with the hotels? With the hotel? Do you think they just knocked it down?
Yeah, it sucks because that, like, for example, that murder hotel where it was filmed, for American Horror Story or whatever.
Oh, that was in LA, yeah.
Yeah, I think that does still exist, but that was a great looking place, wasn't it?
Yeah, like the
Hotel
foyer
Cecil,
looks amazing.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Something like
and there's been a few creepy things that have happened there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think that might be for another day.
Oh yeah, totally.
Mysterious death.
Yeah. Mysterious.
We're going to become a death podcast.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. It might be a bit too depressing.
All right. Well, not with the way we're telling it.
Yeah, we can make death more lighthearted.
Next murderer,
Yeah.
Pedro Lopez.
Have you heard of this guy before?
Is he the... Oh, wait.
Colombia, Peru.
Yeah, so
world's
sorry, we're
most-
reading our notes.
Prolific serial killers. And the worst part is,
What?
he could still be out there.
Oh, so he's not the guy that wore the sunglasses in court.
No, I don't
Oh,
think so.
he's the Midnight Strangler or something. Maybe I'm making this up again.
Anyway,
Anyway.
he's linked to more than 300 murders in his native Colombia and Ecuador
That's
and Peru.
crazy.
At least 1/3 of those murders were tribal women. So after Lopez was arrested in 1980, police found the graves of more than 50 of his preteen victims.
Jesus.
He later was convicted of murdering 110 girls in Ecuador and confessed to 240 more murders in Colombia and Peru. They call him the Monster of the Andes. Didn't even spend 20 years in prison.
It's disgusting.
So he was released in 1998 for good behaviour.
What the heck? Like, yeah, right. Oh, that is so ridiculous.
I'm sure he won't do it again.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's no other deaths that have happened since.
So more than 20 years
Is that
since.
really the cost of some stuff? I know, like, we kind of joke about, like, these murderers and things like that. But on a serious note, these
Yeah.
are actual real life people who
Yeah.
have lost their lives at the hands of some, I'm going to say a freak.
Yeah, but that's actually what I'm saying. Like, we can easily, I mean, we do it all the time, you know,
We're
watching
not
Netflix,
sensitized to it. It's desensitized to
Yeah.
it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because it's just so common.
Yeah, but
It's entertainment now.
yeah, but that's exactly what I mean. You know, like we are like really majorly desensitized to it. To be honest, even if someone kills one person, then that's kind of not as fun as killing 20 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously
But-
we're using these
Yeah,
terms
no,
as,
yeah,
you know,
as-
exaggerations.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But this is what I mean though. To actually think, well, actually, that's 300. Someone's daughter,
Yeah.
someone's son, you know, someone's mum. I don't know, you know, like, well, whatever. But to actually think about that, your life impacted by that,
Yeah.
you know, and all that kind of stuff is a horrific thing.
And these things, obviously, there's thousands of murders every day,
Mm.
but the media will focus on the ones that are the most interesting and the most
Yeah.
horrific.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Because as we spoke about in the news podcast, because that's what we want.
yeah, we want these stories.
Extraordinary stories.
We want these stories which we know that can be made into.
Did you hear about the
Netflix.
doctor who killed 200
Netflix
and however many
documentary, yeah.
people and stuff? But yeah, that's the thing. It's important as well that it does get publicity. Now, for my favourite serial killer,
Going on from a nice serious topic, yes, old
Ted
Teddy
Bundy.
Bundy.
Now, going back to what we were saying before, the scariest thing is he's got his own fan club.
Yeah, I think Jeffrey Dahmer had one too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, this is kind of the
Dad
thing.
muffin.
Yeah. Like but this is the thing. There's a reason why these people were so charismatic. Obviously, it's learned manipulation. It's psychology. You know what I mean? They could learn to manipulate people.
They drew people in. They're victims.
I mean,
in.
we're not talking about Manson because I think that's going to be another big one for another day. But it's like, you know, Manson could control people.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole thing. He was charismatic.
And it's also focusing on the times as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ted Bundy was apparently, I mean, I don't see it,
A lovable guy.
a lovable, good-looking, very intelligent.
Yeah. He was training to be a solicitor, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, I think thought he was going to be everything.
So he loved the attention his murders garnered him. And in much of the United States were more than happy to give him that attention. You know, that was the crazy thing. This guy... I mean, and that was the thing. When you watch these documentaries about him and kind of see the progression, you're like, there's no way this guy could have done it.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There's that film with Zac Efron as
Yeah.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, this is glorifying Ted Bundy because people love Zac Efron. He's
Yeah.
a good-looking young guy.
There was a lot of funny stuff on Twitter, wasn't there?
Yeah, about like how white girls love it.
There's a lot more eligible young bachelors than a serial killer
exactly.
or whatever.
And he loved the attention, and the attention was given to him. I think he got married, didn't he? Or engaged in court. There
Yeah.
were fans
That was
in
it.
court
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
So the Western US was his hunting ground. So with an unknown number of murders piling up, mostly college-age women from Washington and the Oregon, all the way up to Utah and Colorado. So Bundy was once arrested in Colorado and convicted of kidnapping, but he escaped custody, moving to Florida, where he killed multiple times more.
Is that when he jumped out the window?
Yeah, he essentially
And
jumped.
when he was in custody, he was
Yeah.
practice jumping.
That was it.
From height, wasn't it?
From his top bunk,
Yeah.
top bunk of the bed. So he basically conditioned himself to be able to do that. But imagine that, you know, this is the thing. He wasn't a stupid person. You know
No,
what
he
I
was
mean?
very arrogant.
Very arrogant, very clever though, very intelligent, and that's the whole thing as well. You know,
He acted as his own lawyer. That's how confident he was.
that was a mistake, wasn't it? But yeah, so
Well,
Bundy's
maybe not.
Bundy's final arrest and its aftermath captured the attention of the nation as the accused murderer acted as his own lawyer during what is believed to have been the first televised murder trial. I mean, imagine that, the first televised murder trial.
he had photo shoots in prison.
Yeah.
Interviewed in prison.
He welcomed interviews. He boasted to the fans that he had created. You know, it's so much craziness. But he eventually was executed in electric chair in 1989. But that's the scariest thing for me, I think. For your the guy next door.
A lot of serial killers tend to get away with stuff because they're clever.
Oh, exactly.
And not because, you know, they're not reckless with it. A lot of them plan it very, very well. I mean, if you watched The Fall.
Yeah. Don't spoil any of that.
No,
but
I won't.
Yeah.
Obviously, well, it's about a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly.
Plans it very meticulously and, you know, goes into detail
But
about how people live their lives. And I'm sure this is exactly how a lot of these people were able to get away with it.
As it was said in there, it's an addiction.
Yeah.
It is an addiction, whether it be through abnormal sexual fantasies or something like that, or whatever. It basically is an addiction. You know, the element of either, I don't know,
Control.
being in control, you know, and things like that. So that is the real thing, isn't it? And that's my favourite bit in The Fall, you know, where he stops killing or whatever, and then she's like, you're going to do it again.
Yeah,
you
you
can't
can't
stop. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and things like that. But yeah, it's a crazy, interesting subject, hopefully, as we've proved the point of. But yeah, in all seriousness, let's not forget that this is real life.
Yeah.
This isn't a story. This isn't fiction. This has really happened. This is people's families, this, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And that's the thing that sometimes we have to actually pull ourselves away from and go, damn.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really rubbish situation.
I mean, I tend to cry at a lot of these murder documentaries. There's certain things I I can't watch because I know how upset I'll get. But I do enjoy watching it for the mystery side of it. Same with things like Making a Murderer.
And okay,
that was interesting.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a serial killing, but that was an isolated incident. But the whole build up of it is what interests me.
Here's a crazy one. Name me one lady that Ted Bundy killed.
No, I couldn't.
That's what I mean. Like that's the crazy thing.
I know.
That is the crazy thing, isn't it?
I mean, that is what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's the same when you go Tate murders.
Yeah.
People forget about the
LaBiancas. Yeah.
The LaBiancas. They forget about everyone else who was in the house because the shocking part of it was that Sharon Tate was pregnant.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. But the more shocking it is, the more you're going to remember it.
Yeah.
But I think this is what the serial killers want. They don't want their victims to be remembered.
No.
They're just like cattle to them.
Yeah.
So they want to be the ones remembered for creating all this chaos and scaring these people, these victims. And a lot of people don't remember the names of the victims, and it is sad.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Even with one-off ones, you probably couldn't remember. So yeah, we've got to remember the victims when it comes to these crimes as well, and it's not just for entertainment's sake.
I tell you what, Laura, how can the people get involved in our crazy conversations about serial killers and let us know? Let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah, okay, so you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at TruthsPod.
And be sure to subscribe on however you have listened to this podcast, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all of that. And we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Confusion-filled sea of doubt. It's time to hear the truth about confusion-filled sea of doubt. It's time to hear the truth about